Well, we made it to the end of 2021. That's right, guys, we have survived. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you the top 5 best pocket knives that we tested and reviewed this year. Now, life's a little different for me right now. In 2021, we transitioned into full-time RV. I'm actually coming at you from outside San Antonio, Texas. And I will be honest, I am missing the colder temperatures and the snow a little bit, but that's never fun when you're in an RV for the most part. So here in warmer climates and having transitioned from putting the house up for rent, putting everything in storage, getting rid of a ton of stuff. Now everything I own has to go with me inside a travel trailer and a pickup truck bed. And so the pocket knives that we're gonna take a look at today have really had to take the cake, because if they ain't making sense for me or I ain't using them, I don't have space or weight for them and they gotta go. So the ones that I'm gonna share with you today, I've found just really make sense, and they're from the products that we've tested and reviewed over the last 12 months. That's kind of the window that we look at for this whole year. What were the best of the best that really made sense or stood out for one reason or another. And I'm also going to share with you what's one maybe drawback for each of these products that we're about to look at. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump to it and see what are the top 5 pocket knives that I tested and reviewed for this year. All right, guys, kicking us off is a knife that I really like a lot. It's simple, it gets the job done, and it's got some really cool material and lines to it. And I'm talking about the Spartan Blades Les George designed Astor. Now, this is from their bronze line, which is kind of like their budget friendly, because American made, Spartan blade can easily go for like $400, and their pocket knives can go for about $300. This one comes in between like $100 and $150, depending on where you pick it up and who, what, when, where, why. So much more budget friendly. You still get great lines, great fit and finish. These are made in Taiwan. Good to go with our allies versus other places, so that's always a positive. And so this has CTS XHP steel on it, and great steel. But what I really like about it is that you got about a 3.5-inch blade, maybe 3.6. It's the blade itself, very high saber grind, so very, very high. So it's not full flat, but operates and functions very much like that. Great sweeping belly. I mean, it's almost all belly there. Good piercing tip. And just really, really performs. I mean, it's excellent. The performance in not only edge retention, it's not picking up any rust, which is really good out here in a much more humid environment of Texas than what I'm used to. So that's awesome. It's great for food prep, but also has that like strength of more of like a tactical folder. I know it's like what's the word I'm looking for? Taboo sometimes, or people like go off the deep end when you say tactical folder, but it definitely has that like a little bit of a vein to that, but very user-friendly, cardboard slicing, those type of activities, it does excellently well. So the blade itself, really well designed, shape really connects with me, and it performs a great steel choice as well. And then you got G10 handles, you got a steel liner on one side with a really nice liner lock, bronze bushings, so it's real smooth. It's a fully ambidextrous blade as well, so that's a really cool aspect to the design because it's got that plate there, loop over pocket clip, works really well. And then black or green G10 currently is what they have. Really good detent, really solid. That tip is buried in there. And it's basically, if I could say, it's basically, think of a Rat Model 1, but just like way better, like lines, profile, fit and finish, and even a better steel. So that's kind of, but it's in that world, and it just kind of always reminds me of that. And it's like, yeah, I don't really need a Rat Model 1 because I have this, and it's like better in every way. So fills out the hand really nicely, comes in at under 5 ounces, 4.5 ounces. So all of those things together really make for an excellent tool, and I constantly go back to it and constantly use it. I would say if you're gonna look at one drawback in the design, it really comes down to that it doesn't really stand out from the crowd, and at usually, it's more than 100 usually, I guess some places you can get it there, but on average I see it for more like 130. That is the same price as like Recon 1s from Cold Steel with S35V and steel, made in Taiwan as well. There's just a lot of competition, and it's very functional, and I like the design, but there's nothing that really, like, it doesn't have a cool like locking mechanism that's coming out, or like something like that. So it's very basic. It totally looks good, totally gets the job done, but it can easily get lost, and that's why I'm actually wanting to include it in this video. It can get lost in the dog pile of pocket knives that now exist out there, because because there's nothing in it that really makes it stand out from the crowd, even though in the crowd, it's a very high performer.
Guys, before we go any further in this video, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Rocky Talkie. Yeah, my wife and I now have been able to use these on a daily basis through our lives as we have full-time RV helping us back up the RV, being able to communicate around the campground and campsites, but also being able to test it out in much longer distances. We did some site to site that was super impressive. Ashley and the kiddos are way over there. And let's go ahead and give these radios a shot. Ashley, are you over there and can you read me?
Yes, I read you loud and clear.
Awesome, I can hear you really well. Having the capability to do that up to 25 miles for that site to site, and then between 1 and 5 in more mountainous, rugged terrain, which is really what this was designed with in mind. Coming from my home state of Colorado, which is just awesome, designed for those backcountry skiers and rock climbers and hikers and, you know, those type of environments, but also you could use them around a work site, you know, a way to communicate on the job site, as well as maybe your favorite, you know, motorized sport vehicle, your ATVs and side-by-sides, and being able to communicate that way. You want good, reliable, tough, long battery life in your walkie-talkie, and these guys absolutely produce that. The lithium-ion battery that these come with hold their charge forever. They have that really good 2-watt power, which is the most powerful you can get without having a license, so you don't have to go through all those hoops, and we've had really good results. And so folks, we have an exclusive promo code for you, the viewers, which is Talk with GT10. That's gonna get you 10% off your purchase, and we'll have that hyperlink as well as that promo code in the description box below, so you can click on that, hop on over there, see what they got going on, apply that at checkout, saves you guys some money and gets you some amazing rugged communication into your hands, and it gives you the ability to talk and communicate when cell phone coverage is non-existent and cell phones aren't an option. And so with that, let's go ahead and get back to it.
Well guys, our next one comes to us from the Czech Republic, and it's the Acta NVA or NVA200. And I'm just gonna come right out and say this. Basically, if you love everything about the Benchmade bug out, but there's something holding you back, or you own it and you're like, yeah, you know, it's just so thin. The handle is just so thin and kind of like flexy. And I like everything else about it. I like the shape, I like the style, I like the slim, you know, lightweight, all that. This is, in my opinion, like a better option unless you literally are just looking to count every single ounce, because this comes in at like 2.7 ounces, so like 0.9 ounces heavier than the bug out. You're gonna get a very high saber grind, you get an awesome swedge there, very, very cool. You get their, now that the patent's gone, you know, on the axis lock, you get their take on an axis lock. Let's see if we can get that right there. Functions, you know, just exactly like you would expect. You got the bar, sweeps into place, whips back and forth. G10 handles versus, you know, like polymer, and they are lightened up, you know, skeletonized to make it that light, because it's a pretty big pocket knife at right around 3.5 inches. And then you got a nice large full handle there. You can see how much real estate I got left over. Really cool. Loop over pocket clip, so it's a deep ride, it's ambidextrous. So you just unscrew it, flop it over to the other side. Just flop it over. And then Sleipner steel. I haven't used that a bunch. It's like a, you know, souped up D2, basically. Good edge retention. With this coating, I have not seen any rust getting picked up on it. Good slicer. I mean, everything that you would want in kind of those styles, but it's still very lightweight and very like that slim profile, and excellent execution. Good fit and finish, no issues with that whatsoever. And if you were to ask me, okay, well then what's the drawback? And these usually will go for about 160 is what I'm seeing over on Blade HQ. You can pick them up overseas, and I'll do my best to have a link for you guys to the Acta NVA website as well for those of you in Europe. For us in the States, I know they're starting to become available on Amazon and Blade HQ. There may be other distributors now. I will say the one takeaway that I had when I was using it and doing my review is the thumb studs, though excellently, you know, they look so cool. They do have, they're metal, and they do have kind of a slick side and a sharp edge to it. So they can, sometimes I can miss them, or it just feels like a little more edgy than I would have preferred. If they had just kind of a different style, or just a thicker, like looped portion on that stud right there, it just wouldn't be quite as sharp. And maybe if they were slightly higher, or just had some texturing on them, so I wouldn't, like every once in a while, I'd say like 1 out of 20 hits when I'm trying to deploy it, it'll kind of slide off, or I'll do like a halvesy like that just because of the way the studs are designed. But you can always just pull that and flip that open with the lock. Not even touching the stud. Just gotta see if I can do that on frame for you. So anyway, this bad boy is really cool, and I think if you're into the bug out, but there's some things holding you back, or you're just not quite as pumped as you'd like, or you're like, man, do I have to like go get custom scales now? This might just be a better option out the gate. So number 3 on the list is kind of breaking the rules a little bit, but I feel like it's necessary to talk about just because it is able to function almost as a pocket knife. And I'm talking about the new for 2021 Leatherman Bond. Now, I know that there was like a mixed feeling on this. Some people were like, whoa, this is awesome. Some people were like, no. Some people are like, it's just a PST, you know, like redesign. Sure, I mean, that might be what it is. But what I really like about this tool is that lots of Leathermans, either come in pretty pricey now. You know, even my beloved Skeletool is like $65 for the base model. This one comes in at still 50 bucks. So you're gonna get a good price point for the tool. It comes in at under 6 ounces. From what I'm reading, and I think I remember from putting on the scale, it's been a little while, but I think it's like 5.8 ounces overall, and it's completely rounded and contoured. So that's real nice. So the ergonomics are gonna be better than a lot of other Leathermans out there. And just to give you like a thickness, here's the Astor that we looked at. It's about the same thickness, maybe a millimeter thicker. And this was like 4.6 ounces. This is 5.8. So like an ounce and a half, let's say, difference. And you can get it with a pocket clip. It's about the same size and profile. You got your pliers though. You are going to get the 420 high carbon blade there. Works great. Never had issues with it. I mean, you got to sharpen it up a lot, you know. You're gonna get your 3D Phillips head. You're gonna get your bottle opener, can opener, a couple other flatheads, your awl, and then you get a D-ring and you get a file. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with this little design. Just to show you there, there's your blade, fills out the hand nicely, good ergonomics, and gets the job done. And as a bonus, for those of you overseas, not a single tool locks on this. It has a tension point back there. And so this guy, maybe not worldwide, but close to worldwide accessible and carryable. And so I feel like at 50 bucks for all of the features you're getting, for that lighter weight than a lot of other tools, and you're getting a lot of capability, it's a great option for a pocket knife. Maybe you just need more versatility than a pocket knife can offer to you, but you want pliers, whereas most Swiss Army knives aren't going to give that to you, and they don't come with a pocket clip. So this offers you like the availability for all of that, and at a pretty good price point. Now, there's always a downside, right? The one downside, which is just stupid, and I think that it should come with it, you have to pay another $9 and order separately currently at the end of 2021 for this pocket clip. The pocket clip I actually really like. It doesn't cause any hot spots. It's loop over. You can get it over, you know, like tactical pants and like reinforced pockets, that type of thing. Fits great, and the screw holes are there ready to go, but it only comes with a nylon pouch. So you got to do the pouch way, and then for $9 more, get this. That's dumb. Leatherman, charges 55 bucks if you need to, and include the pocket clip, please. Like, come on. Then as it is right here, this might be a great option, and you may find yourself retiring a lot of your folders because you're carrying this more frequently and you're getting more use out of the tool. All right, guys, coming to the end here, number 4. And it's funny because this one, from the moment I got my hands on it, was digging it, and you guys were throwing a lot of shade in the video. And so I'm curious to see if you guys still feel that way. I will touch on if there are any drawbacks, you know, to the design. And I'm talking about the Buck Onset. Now, this is an American-made Buck knife, and I will say that one of the things, I guess, that really got me excited about the tool is that I really feel like Buck has been lagging in their more modern designs. They're more classic, like the 110, 112, and all the deviations and variations that they have are awesome. But like in modern designs, there's always like issues, there's problems, you know, like I've not been very happy in like the last, say, 5 years and what I see mostly coming out of like the modern takes from Buck. This one, I had a really difficult time finding anything wrong with it. S45 VN steel, which is a kind of combination right down the middle between S30V and S35 VN. So this S45 VN is an excellent steel. I'm really happy with it. Performs super well. We got like 3 1/4 inch full flat grind, so the grinding and all that, the shape of it, great. You know, that they didn't go hollow. I don't have a problem with hollow grinds, but they have done that a lot in the past. So that, now I love the edge geometry. I mean, it almost looks like a Scandi grind and performs almost like some of my Moras. And it's just an excellent food prep knife, cardboard slicer, those type of activities. I mean, it is excellent. Now, I know some of you, I don't do edge retention tests, you know, and do like cutting. There are amazing YouTubers that do that. Cedric and Ada, love you. And I know that many of you were like, well, is it kind of fat behind the edge? Maybe. I don't see it. I don't see it in my performance and how I'm using it as just a general, you know, EDC tool. So I really like how steep they made it. Some people may not. That's up to you to determine. Other than that, though, I mean, all the rest of it, the fit and finish, fantastic. G10 handles on one side, the stainless steel on the other, over travel bar disc, you know, to keep it from over traveling, all of that. The flipper functions really well. The liner lock engages perfect, or the frame lock engages perfectly. They milled out that frame lock and frame so that it lightens it up to be about 4 1/4, maybe 4 1/2 ounces overall. Fills out the hand and just has a very elegant sweep to the tool. Doesn't create any hot spots, fills out that hand real nicely. So I think that if you were to ask me, so what would be the issue is, and if there was a drawback to the design, because I love the blade, I love the steel, I love the grinding, I love how it carries in my pocket, and it's an excellent tool, is that it's $180 on average, and a lot of tools between 180 and say like 220 made in America with similar steels and things, you can often get with titanium. So the stainless steel, maybe a little bit more, you know, they're asking a little bit more than what the materials maybe you could argue are worth, you know, so maybe like 160 would have been more better value. So we'll just say value could be something to consider when you are looking at this, because you might be able to get very similar steels and functionality for maybe like 20 bucks more with titanium and lighten it up maybe by an ounce. So things to consider, but I think Buck did an excellent job with execution, steel that they chose, and I love it. It's a fantastic tool and absolutely had to make the best pocket knives that I've seen, used, and tested this year. So number 5 on the list, and the one that I got to share with you, is one that I had to squeak out the full review before I did this, or just recently, so I could include it in this video. Because I have other pocket knives I'm working on right now. We haven't tested and reviewed them this year, so they're not going to make this list. They might make next year's list. So this tool is the new rendition of the Benchmade Adams full size. The full-size Adams I have now had. It was the gift that my wife gave me for my birthday recently. It was a gift that I wanted, you know, with so many pocket knives, so many options to choose from. There was a reason that I wanted a huge, beefy, robust folder, because this thing is, the handle is the size of a lot. I have fixed blades that have smaller handles in this size range that aren't as full and wide and can fill out the hand. I mean, it's heavy for a pocket knife, 6 1/2 ounces on average. Stainless steel liners, you know, flow through construction that they milled out. G10 handles, loop over, ambidextrous. Got the axis lock. You got this huge blade, super broad, really cool, really cool. The things that make it stand out for me is, one, the crew wear. That crew wear steel, I want to see more companies, more brands use it. It's a type of D2, but it's basically double, literally double the performance that you're going to see, and edge stability, meaning it's not as chippy as D2s. Just standard D2, yes, it can hold its edge, but it doesn't have a lot of like lateral strength, and that can transition down to the edge, and therefore it chips out when you're doing really hard, long, you know, tasks with it. So this now has the ability to hold its edge and hold a fine edge, you know, that edge that you put on it that you can like slice paper with. That's going to hold it much longer than a lot of these other premium steels that are out there. So I really like that aspect a lot. And what I found is that it's just really, even though yes, it's big and full, and I'm not going to tell you that it's like, oh, it's this tiny little like pocket knife and slim and lightweight. I mean, you want that? Go with say like the A200 or something like that. You know, that's going to be much slimmer, much lighter. You're not even going to know it's in the pocket. This, you know, it's there, but I get a lot of the versatility of a fixed blade, that, you know, that strength, that big full handle, the big broad blade that you just don't get with a lot of other pocket knives. And I need that more than ever now, being a full-time RVer. So some of it is my perspective. I've used my knives so much more and for longer periods of time than I ever did when I was dropping the kids off, you know, to school and then going to the office and just, you know, doing things around the home. It was they were really quick, light cuts and quick things I was doing, you know, and just not doing as much, you know, opening the packaging, and that was about it. And that's totally fine. That's what 90% of us do with our knives. But for me now, more food prep, more woodscraft, more heavy, you know, like, oh, I gotta get that zip tie that, you know, is all messed up, or, you know, whatever that I'm doing now living in an RV full time. And so that's just something that for me, it gives me the versatility of having this very capable, strong, beefy tool that holds its edge forever, because I'm using the tool a lot more. It just means I don't have to tune them up as frequently. This one I don't have to sharpen as frequently as tools, say, with, I don't know, S30V, you know, steel or something. Still great steel, but like this is, it's gonna take me twice as long to dull this thing out before I need to tune it up, and I'm starting to see, you know, it not cut like it should. And giving me that ergonomics, so it's not like, oh man, this is causing a hot spot. Where's my fixed blade? You know, so it just gives me this versatility that a lot of other pocket knives, 90% of the other pocket knives I own, just don't offer to me, and that's why I went with it. Now, in the video you can go watch, I mean, I batoned with this, I smacked the spine several times. I know some people, there's some stuff out there that maybe the lock is kind of put in a different way or something. I think that might be on the Mini. I was not a fan of the Mini Adamas that came out this year. The full size, if you're gonna do it, go big or go home. And so maybe this one is, you know, positioned properly. I haven't had any loosening up, even smacking the back of the spine and batoning with it. Functions and operates fantastically well. It's going to cost you, you know, like $240. So I mean, it ain't cheap. So you really got to commit to a knife like this if you're going to go with it. It does have a nylon pouch, so you can mount Molly Powell's web, you know, to different stuff if you wanted to. And if you were going to ask me the drawback, I would say it's kind of niche, honestly. Like, a lot of people, it just makes more sense to go with a fixed blade if you need something this big, because you're going camping, you're going hiking, and you're, you know, doing that stuff. For me, I'm, you know, in certain campgrounds, certain states, you know, that have different rules, or certain people are going to freak out, you know, if I walk into the office with a fixed blade hanging on my belt, even though I kind of need a fixed blade. And so it's a very like niche tool because of the price at $240, how thick and beefy it is. Whereas you can get, say, like a Cold Steel Recon, or even the Astor from Spartan Blades, that has a very similar capability. It's nowhere near as beefy and strong, and again, edge retention level. But that for most other people would probably just make sense. Save money. You still get a lot of toughness and capability. A lot of it comes in with the ergonomics, actually, you know, like on top of the edge, like the handle being wider, beefier, and thicker makes it more enjoyable to use for those long tasks that I would normally want to transition to a fixed blade in. So a lot of it is because of that, but it's a very niche thing for me as someone who does this a lot more frequently and needs it a lot more than a lot of people. So, yeah, you're going to commit to a big, thick, heavy blade that's going to cost you. And so if you're kind of on the fence, it probably is better to go with either some of the stuff you've seen today, or say like a Cold Steel Recon or something like that. So that's me, guys. That's my take on the best tools that I've tested and reviewed for pocket knives this year. I look forward to hearing from you guys. I invite you to leave comments if there are pocket knives that you think I need to test and review for 2022, that I need to put on my list, that you think are amazing, that are epic, that you haven't seen here before. I want to know so that I can get my hands on them, so we can test them and do videos this year, and then they might make the best of list for 2022 coming up before we know it. And so, guys, as I sign off, I just pray that you guys have an amazing end of year, that God blesses you, that his love, mercy, and grace just shine on you in a supernatural way, and that 2022 is such a blessing, and that he just pours out his love upon you, the Gideonstactical family. And until next time, guys, I invite you to check out the other video popping up, to subscribe, check us out on social media, and always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.